Before the world speaks to you, before your phone lights up, before anyone tells you who you should be, what you should fear, or why today might fail, there is a quiet moment when only one voice matters. That moment decides everything. Most people lose their day before it even begins because they let the world speak first. But if you learn to speak to yourself before the world speaks to you, you will never be the same again. Every morning is a negotiation with life. Life asks you a question the moment you open your eyes. It asks whether you will live on purpose or by accident. It asks whether you will lead your mind or let your mind be dragged by yesterday's regrets and tomorrow's worries. The truth is simple but uncomfortable. The direction of your life is not decided by big events, lucky breaks, or powerful people. It is decided by the small conversations you have with yourself when no one is watching. I have met many successful people and far more unsuccessful ones. The difference was never intelligence, money, or background. The difference was what they said to themselves when they were alone. Some people wake up and immediately remind themselves of their limits. Others wake up and remind themselves of their mission. Some repeat their excuses. Others repeat their responsibility. Over time, these quiet sentences become beliefs, and beliefs quietly become destiny. When I was younger, I failed again and again. I failed exams. I failed interviews. I failed expectations. But every morning, before the world could remind me of those failures, I reminded myself of something stronger. I reminded myself that failure is not a verdict, it is information. I reminded myself that today does not belong to yesterday. I reminded myself that I may not be the smartest, but I can be the most persistent. That daily self-talk kept me standing when logic said I should sit down. Your brain is not your enemy, but it is not automatically your friend. It is a powerful tool that listens carefully to what you tell it repeatedly. If every morning you tell your brain that you are tired, unlucky, behind, and not enough, it will work very hard to prove you right. But if every morning you tell your brain that you are learning, growing, responsible, and capable, it will also work very hard to prove you right. The brain does not judge truth, it follows instruction. This is why speaking 5 lines to yourself every morning is not a motivational trick. It is mental programming. It is leadership. It is discipline. Those 5 lines become your compass when emotions try to confuse you. They become your shield when criticism tries to weaken you. They become your anchor when life shakes you. You do not need long speeches or loud music. You need clear, honest, powerful sentences spoken with intention. The first thing you must say to yourself every morning is a reminder of ownership. You must remind yourself that your life is your responsibility. Not your parents, not your teachers, not the government, not the economy. The moment you accept full responsibility, you take back your power. Responsibility is heavy, but it is also freedom. When you stop blaming, you start building. When you stop complaining, you start creating. This single sentence can shift you from victim to leader before breakfast. The second thing you must say to yourself is a reminder of growth. You must tell yourself that you are allowed to be imperfect, but not allowed to stop improving. Growth is not about being better than others. It is about being better than yesterday. Some days growth looks like progress. Some days it looks like patience. Some days it looks like discipline. But every day growth begins with permission to learn rather than pressure to be perfect. The third thing you must say to yourself is a reminder of resilience. You must remind yourself that difficulties are not signals to quit. They are signals to adapt. Life does not test you to destroy you. It tests you to expand you. Every challenge carries a skill you do not yet have. Every setback hides a lesson you have not yet learned. When you speak resilience into your morning, you walk into problems differently. You stop asking why this is happening to you and start asking what this is teaching you. The fourth thing you must say to yourself is a reminder of focus. You must tell yourself that today you will do what matters, not what is easy. Most people are busy, but very few are effective. Focus is the courage to say no to distractions and yes to long-term value. When you speak focus into your morning, you protect your energy. You stop trading your future for temporary comfort. You remember that small, consistent actions done daily build extraordinary results over time. The fifth thing you must say to yourself is a reminder of belief. You must tell yourself that even if you are not there yet, you are on the way. Belief is not arrogance. Belief is commitment. It is the decision to keep walking before the road is clear. When you believe in your direction, you do not panic when progress is slow. You understand that bamboo grows underground for years before it breaks the surface. What looks like nothing is often preparation. These 5 lines may sound simple, but simplicity is deceptive. Simple things done consistently change lives. Complex ideas discussed occasionally do not. The reason many people attend seminars, read books, and watch videos but do not change is because they do not practice daily self-leadership. Motivation fades, but identity stays. When you speak to yourself every morning, you are shaping identity. Think about how a child learns. A child believes what is repeated. Tell a child they are capable, and they try. Tell a child they are useless, and they shrink. Adults are no different, except the voice repeating the message is often their own. If you would not say something to a child, you should not say it to yourself. Harsh self-criticism does not create excellence. It creates fear. Constructive self-talk creates courage. Many people wait for confidence before they act. This is a mistake. Confidence is not the cause of action. It is the result of action. Speaking to yourself every morning is how you borrow confidence from the future. You remind yourself of who you are becoming, not just who you have been. Over time, your actions catch up with your words. When you build this habit, something interesting happens. You stop reacting so quickly. You pause before quitting. You listen before judging. You breathe before panicking. That is not because life became easier, but because your inner voice became stronger. A strong inner voice can survive a noisy world. Do not underestimate mornings. Morning energy is clean energy. It has not yet been polluted by arguments, news, failures, or fatigue. What you plant in the morning grows throughout the day. If you plant clarity, you harvest calm. If you plant intention, you harvest progress. If you plant belief, you harvest courage. There will be days when you do not feel like speaking those lines. Those are the most important days to speak them. Discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is structural. Speaking to yourself every morning builds a structure. T supports you when emotions collapse. You may ask if words alone can really change a life. Words alone do nothing, but words repeated become thoughts. Thoughts repeated become habits. Habits repeated become character. Character determines destiny. This is not philosophy, it is psychology and reality combined. The life you are living today is largely the result of the conversations you have been having with yourself for years. Look at people who achieve long-term success. They are not always the fastest or the luckiest. They are the ones who stay consistent when results are invisible. Consistency is easier when your mind is aligned. Alignment begins with self-talk. When your words and actions point in the same direction, progress becomes inevitable. Speaking to yourself every morning is also an act of respect. It says that your mind is worth guiding, not abusing. It says that your future is worth preparing for. It says that even if no one else believes in you today, you will not abandon yourself. Self-respect is the foundation of confidence. Do not wait for the perfect morning. Do not wait for silence, sunlight, or success. Speak to yourself in chaos. Speak to yourself in uncertainty. Speak to yourself when things are unclear. Leaders are not created in comfort. They are created in confusion with clarity of purpose. Over time, you will notice that external validation matters less. Praise becomes pleasant, but unnecessary. Criticism becomes information, not identity. When your inner voice is strong, outer noise loses power. You stop chasing approval and start building value. This habit will also change how you treat others. When you speak to yourself with honesty and encouragement, you naturally extend patience and understanding to others. Strong self-leadership creates compassionate leadership. You do not need to dominate when you are secure. You do not need to prove when you are progressing. Remember that every great journey begins in private. Long before applause, there is discipline. Long before recognition, there is repetition. Long before results, there is routine. Speaking 5 lines to yourself every morning is a private routine that produces public results. You do not need to copy anyone else's life. You only need to commit to your own growth. Your background does not disqualify you. Your current position does not define your destination. What matters is your direction, and direction is chosen daily. One day, you will look back and realize that the biggest turning point was not a big opportunity or a dramatic decision. It was the quiet moment each morning when you chose to speak strength instead of doubt, responsibility instead of excuses, patience instead of panic, focus instead of distraction, belief instead of fear. If you can win that first conversation every morning, you can win negotiations, challenges, failures, and opportunities. The world will still be uncertain, but you will be steady. The road will still be long, but we will be prepared. And slowly, almost quietly, your life will begin to reflect the words you dared to speak to yourself when no one else was listening. And understand this deeply. Speaking to yourself every morning is not about pretending life is easy. It is about preparing your spirit for reality. Ancient wisdom has always taught that as a person thinks in their heart, so they become. Long before modern psychology explained mindset, truth was already known. The inner world shapes the outer world. What you declare internally becomes the lens through which you see everything externally. Change the lens, and the same life suddenly looks different. Many people pray for change but speak defeat. They hope for growth but rehearse fear. They ask for opportunity but wake up complaining about responsibility. Life listens carefully to consistency, not wishes. When your daily words align with your deepest values, doors begin to open in unexpected ways. Not because the world magically changes overnight, but because you finally notice the paths that were always there. Every morning conversation with yourself is also a reminder of humility. You acknowledge that you do not know everything, and that is why you must keep learning. Pride blocks growth, but humility accelerates it. The moment you tell yourself that you are still a student of life, you remain flexible, curious, and open. This mindset allows you to receive wisdom from failure, correction from criticism, and insight from silence. There is also a spiritual discipline in daily self-talk. Just as the body needs food every day, the mind needs truth every day. Skipping this nourishment leaves you mentally weak and emotionally reactive. Feeding your mind with intention strengthens your character. Strong character is what carries people through storms when talent and luck disappear. You will face days when effort seems unrewarded. On those days, remind yourself that seeds grow in darkness before they grow in light. No farmer digs up the ground every day to check progress. They water, they wait, and they trust the process. Speaking patience into your morning trains you to respect timing. Impatience destroys many great futures because people quit too early. There will also be moments when success begins to appear, and this is another test. Success tests your discipline more than failure ever did. When things improve, many people stop doing the small habits that created improvement. Your morning words must keep you grounded, reminding you that growth is maintained the same way it is built, with consistency, integrity, and focus. Another powerful shift happens when you speak gratitude to yourself each morning. Gratitude does not mean you are satisfied with less. It means you recognize what you already have while working for more. Gratitude changes your posture toward life. Instead of approaching the day with entitlement, you approach it with responsibility. Instead of scarcity, you operate from stewardship. When your inner language becomes stronger, fear does not disappear, but it loses control. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is obedience to purpose despite fear. Every meaningful path carries uncertainty. If certainty were required, progress would be impossible. Speaking courage into your morning gives you permission to move forward without full clarity. You must also learn to speak forgiveness to yourself. Many people carry old guilt, shame, and regret into new days. They punish themselves repeatedly for past mistakes, even after lessons have been learned. This is not wisdom, it is bondage. Growth requires release. You cannot drive forward while staring constantly into the rearview mirror. Each morning is a reminder that today is new, and new days deserve new focus. The world rewards those who persist quietly. Loud confidence attracts attention, but quiet consistency attracts results. When you speak commitment to yourself each morning, you are choosing long-term faithfulness over short-term excitement. This is how ordinary people achieve extraordinary outcomes. As time passes, your 5 lines will evolve. Early on, they may be about survival. Later, they may be about service. Growth shifts your focus from what you want to what you can contribute. True success is not measured only by what you accumulate, but by what you enable others to become. Speaking purpose into your morning expands your vision beyond yourself. Eventually, you will notice that your mornings be Egan, to shape your nights. You sleep with more peace because you live with more intention. You worry less because you plan more. You regret less because you acted with clarity. This is the quiet reward of self-leadership. Do not expect applause for this habit. No one will celebrate your discipline. No one will congratulate your consistency. That is why it works. The most powerful transformations happen away from the spotlight. When results finally appear, people will call it luck, but you will know it was alignment. One day, someone will ask you how you stayed strong during uncertainty, how you remained focused during distraction, how you kept believing when results were slow. And you will realize the answer was never dramatic. It was the simple decision repeated daily to speak life instead of doubt, truth instead of fear, purpose instead of excuses. And tomorrow morning, before the world speaks again, you will speak first. Because when you speak first, you are not reacting, you are commanding. You are setting the direction of your heart before circumstances try to steer it elsewhere. There is an old truth that says light shines brightest in darkness, not because darkness disappears, but because light refuses to stop shining. Your morning words are that light. They do not remove obstacles, but they show you how to walk through them without losing yourself. There will be seasons when answers are delayed. You will ask, work, knock, and still hear silence. Silence does not mean abandonment. Often silence is preparation. In those moments, your self-talk must shift from demanding results to trusting process. Faith grows when evidence is absent. Strength deepens when outcomes are uncertain. Speaking trust into your morning anchors you when emotions begin to drift. Life will also confront you with comparison. You will see others moving faster, earning more, receiving recognition sooner. Comparison is a quiet thief that steals joy and distorts perspective. Your morning words must remind you that timing is personal. A seed planted in winter is not behind, it is just waiting. What is meant for you will not arrive early or late. It will arrive when you are ready to carry it. Another truth you must speak to yourself is obedience to the small things. Many people wait for big opportunities while ignoring small responsibilities. But destiny is built on ordinary days handled with extraordinary faithfulness. The unseen moments matter more than the celebrated ones. When you speak diligence into your morning, you train yourself to respect the process even when no one is watching. You will encounter resistance, not just from the world, but from within. Old habits will try to pull you back. Comfort will whisper convincing arguments. Fear will sound logical. This is why your inner voice must be louder than your impulses. Discipline is not punishment. It is protection. It protects your future from your momentary weakness. At times, you will feel alone on your path. When you choose growth, some people will not understand you anymore. Distance will grow where familiarity once lived. This is painful, but it is also necessary. Not everyone is meant to walk every season with you. Speaking peace into your morning helps you release people without bitterness and move forward without resentment. There is also power in speaking hope when circumstances offer none. Hope is not denial. It is expectation rooted in truth. It believes that what you are building matters even when results are invisible. Hope keeps your hands working when your heart feels tired. It reminds you that endurance always outlasts resistance. As you mature, your morning words will begin to include surrender. Not surrender to fear, but surrender to purpose greater than ego. You will realize that control is limited, but obedience is powerful. When you align your efforts with meaning beyond yourself, pressure decreases and clarity increases. You stop striving for significance and start walking in assignment. This habit will slowly rewire how you handle adversity. Instead of asking why this is happening, you will ask how to respond with wisdom. Instead of reacting emotionally, you will respond intentionally. This is emotional maturity, and it is rare. Most people age, but few people mature. Maturity is the fruit of disciplined inner dialogue. There will come a moment when you realize you are no longer chasing motivation. You are moving from conviction. Motivation depends. NDS on mood. Conviction depends on truth. When truth anchors your actions, storms may shake you, but they will not uproot you. Your 5 morning lines will also shape your courage to speak in the world. When you are clear inside, your words carry weight outside. You do not need to shout. You do not need to impress. Authenticity becomes your authority. People trust those who are aligned, not those who are loud. And one quiet morning, perhaps when nothing remarkable seems to be happening, you will notice that you have changed. Not suddenly, but steadily. You respond differently. You think differently. You endure differently. Growth rarely announces itself. It reveals itself over time. You will understand then that the real battle was never outside. It was always the unseen conversation within. And every day you chose to speak truth, discipline, faith, and purpose, you were winning that battle without applause, without shortcuts, without noise. So you continue, morning after morning, not because it is exciting, but because it is effective. Not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. And as long as you keep speaking life to yourself before the world speaks doubt, you remain grounded, guided, and quietly unstoppable. And as this inner discipline deepens, you begin to realize that strength is not loud. It is steady. It is the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you have aligned your thoughts before you face the world. Long ago it was written that those who wait patiently are renewed in strength, not because waiting is passive, but because waiting with trust sharpens endurance. Your morning words teach you how to wait without weakening. You also begin to see hardship differently. What once felt like punishment starts to look like preparation. Pressure no longer feels personal, it feels purposeful. You understand that gold is refined by fire, not damaged by it. Speaking this truth to yourself each morning transforms suffering into training. You stop asking for lighter loads and start asking for stronger shoulders. There will be days when progress feels invisible and effort feels unnoticed. On those days, remind yourself that roots grow deeper when storms are strong. A tree that survives harsh winds develops strength unseen beneath the ground. Your discipline is doing the same. What others cannot see is often what matters most. Your inner conversation will also teach you restraint. Not every emotion deserves a reaction. Not every opinion requires a response. Wisdom learns when to speak and when to remain silent. When your mornings are guided by truth, your days become guided by discernment. You stop wasting energy on battles that do not build your future. Another quiet shift happens in how you view time. You stop rushing what requires ripening. You stop despising small beginnings. You understand that lasting success is slow, layered, and intentional. When you speak patience into your morning, you give yourself permission to build properly rather than quickly. You will also notice that your sense of worth becomes less dependent on outcomes. Wins no longer inflate your ego, and losses no longer crush your spirit. You become anchored. This is freedom. When your identity is rooted in purpose rather than performance, stability replaces anxiety. And then there is service. As your inner voice matures, it begins to speak less about self and more about contribution. You wake up asking how your effort can add value, how your discipline can create opportunity for others. This is where fulfillment lives. A life focused only on itself eventually feels empty, but a life poured into purpose feels full even in sacrifice. At times, you will still feel tired. Discipline does not eliminate fatigue. It teaches you how to rest without quitting. Even rest becomes intentional. You learn the difference between stopping and surrendering. You learn that renewal is part of obedience, not a sign of weakness. Your mornings become sacred ground, not because they are dramatic, but because they are deliberate. In that quiet space, you align your heart, steady your thoughts, and choose your posture for the day. The world may remain uncertain, but you are not unprepared. And so the habit continues, shaping you slowly, deeply, faithfully, turning ordinary mornings into moments of alignment, moments where truth is spoken, direction is chosen, and the unseen foundation for everything that follows is quietly laid again and again, day after day. As the journey keeps unfolding, one day, perhaps without realizing when it happened, you will notice that you no longer feel lost in the noise of the world. The chaos may still exist, the pressure may still knock, but inside you, there is calm. Not because life became gentle, but because you became grounded. You learn to stand before you learn to run. You learn to listen inwardly before reacting outwardly. That quiet strength was built every morning when you chose truth over fear and purpose over comfort. You will see then that the greatest victories were never public. They were the mornings you showed up when no one was watching. The mornings you spoke courage when doubt felt louder. The mornings you chose discipline when motivation was absent. Those moments shaped your character long before they shaped your circumstances. And character, once formed, carries you farther than talent ever could. The world may never fully understand how you changed. They may see the confidence, the clarity, the consistency, but they will not see the quiet conversations that built it. And that is enough. You did not build this life for applause. You built it for alignment. You built it so that when life asks who you are, your actions answer without hesitation. So tomorrow morning and the morning after that, you rise again, not rushed, not afraid, not waiting for permission. You speak with intention. You choose your direction. You claim your responsibility. And step by step, word by word, day by day, you continue becoming the person you once needed, the person your future is waiting for, steady, prepared, and unwavering. As you walk forward carrying the power of a voice that never abandoned you.